Hello and welcome to the Spooky Screen, a
Hello.
podcast where five childhood friends review movies and sometimes TV shows. Maybe never again, but
Once.
tonight
There was
I
that
will
one
not,
time.
tonight we will be today we will be
To
reviewing
sometime.
sometime
Sometime in this
future.
universe.
we are reviewing Us, a movie by Jordan Peele. It is a 2019 movie, horror thriller. It stars Lupita Nyong'o, and I apologize if I mispronounce any of these. Winston Duke, Shahadi Wright Joseph, and Evan Alex. They are the main family members of the movie. Tonight we picked Us because of Jordan Peele's new movie coming out, Nope. So we thought it'd be fun to review this again, since probably none of us have seen it since it released in theaters. I haven't seen it since it was released in theaters in 2019, so it was fun to revisit this. If you are new to us, feel free to subscribe, like, comment, do whatever you do on YouTube. We usually start our podcast with a 5-sentence spoiler review that never reaches quite that. Usually becomes like 20 sentences, but maybe we'll actually try to keep it down. I'm going to pick someone to start. Jonny, why don't you start us off on the 5-sentence spoiler?
This is my favorite part of the show because it's so freaking hard.
You'd think it'd be easy, but
So
Right?
I don't know the characters' names.
You want me to
But I
help
never
you?
do. But I never really do.
Just
to be
say
honest.
mother, dad, daughter.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say.
just say
That
a
helps.
family.
The movie opens up with a sequence at Santa Cruz. That's Santa Cruz, right? Santa Cruz boardwalk of a family outing where a little girl is lost at the boardwalk after venturing away from her distracted parents, and something happens in a hall of mirrors. And then it flashes forward to a modern day family, presumably this little girl who now is a woman's family. And there's an undertone that something changed for her in that moment in her past. Next.
Steven.
We fast forward to the future where we see Adelaide and her family, her 2 kids and husband, traveling out to Santa Cruz on vacation there. They settle into their vacation home, meet up with their richer white neighbors at the beach, where Adelaide's son, Jason, encounters a man in red basking in the sun with a bloody hand.
Guys,
That's like 15
we
minutes.
are not far in the movie at all.
Maybe 20 minutes.
Next,
All
next,
right,
not
all
my
right.
problem. Next.
All right, Nick,
Johnny always complains about not picking out a scene, but whenever it's
Nick,
Johnny's
try and hit
turn.
at least a half hour or 45 minutes, please.
Okay, so on the way home, Mom reveals her backstory to Dad, which sets off an attack on the family by doppelgangers of themselves, who, after fighting them, escape to their neighbor's house where they are already murdered by doppelgangers of themselves. And then the original family fights the doppelganger friend family to the death and wins and turns on the news to find out this is happening all over the world.
David.
All right. Adelaide and her family make it back to the Santa Cruz boardwalk, trying to make their way out of Santa Cruz back home, where they run into the last 2 members of the doppelganger family, Red and Pluto. And in a scene where Pluto dies, Red steals Adelaide's son, Josh.
Jason. That's the only name I remember.
Right. And makes her way back to the Hall of Mirrors.
Okay. So
it's like the last 10-15 minutes, I feel like.
The mother searches for her son in the Hall of Mirrors and uncovers a escalator that goes down into a secret laboratory where all the doppelgangers were bred. There she fights her doppelganger, and they have an epic ballet match, and we learn that the doppelgangers have risen up from the underground laboratory to take over the surface because they feel that they've been marginalized. So there's an epic battle between the mother and her doppelganger. The mother wins, finds her son, drives away with her family in a getaway car, and there the final twist is revealed that Adelaide, the mother, is actually the doppelganger from the beginning of the movie. She switched places with the actual girl and went onto the surface. Her son, we get a glimmer that the son knows something, but he puts his mask on and forgets about it, and the movie ends. And that is our 5-sentence spoiler of Us. We hope it catches you up on what the movie's about. If you haven't seen it, if you have seen it, it's been a while. We hope that helped.
Kind of feels like two movies.
Well,
right?
We can
Well,
talk.
we're gonna get into that.
I just want to say that was really well done.
That was pretty good.
And I think Johnny and I really set the group up for success.
Yeah.
Nick got the MVP award there.
Yeah.
I covered like an
I don't know
hour
how you did
worth
that.
of a movie in one
That was-
sentence.
Yeah, that was like an hour.
That
We
was
crawled
impressive.
so Nick could jump, and then no one gave it a try.
All right. So this is the part of the show where we move on to likes and dislikes. I encourage you guys to try and keep it down to a focused like. Try to be specific. Try not to trail on and on. Just get your 1 point out, or your 2 points out of why you liked it or didn't like it, and then pass it on. And we'll start with David.
Okay.
Well, no, I'll go last. The host always goes last, Nick.
Yeah, the host
You
usually
know
closes
this.
it
It's been like 57 episodes.
Damn, we've done that many?
No, I think it's up there. It's in the 50s.
Nice.
When we hit 100, we should officially declare.
I know the. I know
retire.
Declare bankruptcy.
I declare.
Well, I do declare.
There's been a murder.
All right, David.
Havana.
Remember,
Well
the
done.
like
Yeah, no,
and
I know, I
dislike
know.
is important, and don't ramble on.
No.
David,
I
honestly,
you know what? I did think about this prior, and I did think of this prior. So I got my idea. I think my opinion down to like 2 to 3 sentences.
3 sentences.
All right, Steven's. I just started counting and be like 1 sentence. Bing, bing, bing. All right. I liked this movie.
Awesome. Next.
I just have like 2 things to say about it.
Okay.
The reason I like this movie, you can point out some inconsistencies and plot holes, but I think the twist and execution of this kind of type of trope of horror movie, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, doppelganger type movie, was done so craftfully and acted so well and shot so well and paced so well that I think the inconsistencies and like the loopholes that you start thinking about more and more afterwards, you can let slide. And ultimately, I really enjoyed myself watching it.
Nick, you're up.
Okay.
You can be honest.
No,
You look bashful. You look shy.
No, I just want to make sure I make my succinct points.
Okay.
I'm gonna say I like this movie, and I'll say that the acting was fantastic. The entire cast being able to do dual roles, fantastic. You definitely felt that they were different characters and not they were different characters, not the same people. And my second point, in my opinion, is Winston Duke stole the whole movie. Like nothing to take away from the dad. Like nothing to take away from the mom, from Lupita, but to me, Winston Duke stole the movie. I think he was the best character in it. But yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay. So the acting is what did it for you.
Yes, very much so.
Acting.
Thank you, Johnny. Steven, lay it on me.
All right. When I originally watched Us in theaters in 2019, I came out of the movie theater a tad bit disappointed because I felt as if I could not disconnect Jordan Peele's Get Out from this film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a similar one.
3 years removed from that experience, I revisited this movie. I had the same sort of skepticism that I would like this film. I watched it and I came out of the movie liking it because of how on point it was about a lot of the things it has to say as a film. I think that it's not perfect. I think that the writing was a little bit jumbled in places, and director Peele might have had to say a little bit too much
Director
that
Peele.
muddied the waters. Yeah, you got to show him the respect, right? But I do think that ultimately I enjoyed this movie way more than I had originally when I saw it in theaters. So
You
It's
haven't really given us a reason, Steven. Like
the main reason why I enjoy this movie is because its message about splitting the self, about a country kind of splitting apart into two, just seems very moving and yeah, is apropos, like very prescient, like he had a knowledge of something that was to happen. It just seemed to predict something that was to come, and I just feel like it's more relevant now than it was in 2019. And I
gotcha.
can appreciate that. Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's like someone who was able to kind of see the future in little bits and pieces and was like, oh, I'm gonna make something about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
not
funny.
perfect, not perfect by any means, and I can go into that in
No,
more detail.
we
There are
definitely can
things
go
that
into
bother me, but I do think overall I was just impressed by the fact that he did not want to stick with this same social commentary horror success that he found in Get Out, and was eager to do something completely different. I respect that. And then
Mm-hmm.
I just thought the topics that the movie covers seemed very present for its time.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Thank you, Johnny.
This one's hard for me. I'm gonna go with I liked it, but
Wow.
I will say I liked it because I felt like it was very experimental, and I
It
felt like
certainly was.
it was beautiful visually, auditory, beautiful. That I liked an all black cast. You don't see that a lot, and it was kind of moving. It just there was a lot of really cool things that you just don't see a lot. It was clever. It was creative. It was super confusing, though. Just to be frank, like it is
Was
very
this your first time
confusing.
watching it? Sorry
Yes,
to interrupt.
it is.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, like, it's really hard to give that a pass in a lot of ways. But I did finish the movie, and overall, I had a good feeling about it. Like, I liked it, but it was too long and too confusing for me. So, like, I have some opinions about it, but overall, I think like the quality of what was put together is better than it did. It didn't feel like a money grab. It felt like a passion project. I felt like someone put heart and soul into creating this, and I can appreciate that. Even if there was issues and flaws, like that's not a problem because if you have a respect for craft and art, like in this movie, you can see that come through pretty quickly. So it is, it is a little spooky. It wasn't that frightening. So I would say more people could watch it than I would think not. Like Adeline asked if she should watch it with me, and I was like, no, it's a scary movie. But then I was like, you could probably watch that.
And you know what? The gore is very off screen.
Yeah, it wasn't too in your face jump scare. Like the undertone of it is just kind of a general horror, but it wasn't grotesque in like a glorified way. So anyway, a lot of good things, but definitely worth talking about more.
Yeah, I find it interesting. David, Steven, and you all brought up flaws, inconsistencies, and plot holes. So I would definitely like to get into that more
Hmm.
afterwards. I think, Nick, did you see any flaws? Just a yes or no that blatantly stuck out to you.
Nothing I can think of off the top of my head now.
Gotcha. That's all I want to know. Okay, I'll go. Right now, we are sitting at 4 out of 5 stars, 4 likes, which is pretty good.
Bring us
I'm
down a
going to
notch.
add. I'm going to add a fifth like.
Oh,
So
So this is
five
a perfect
stars.
movie.
Well, we'll find out at the end of it. Maybe we'll convince each other otherwise.
Oh,
But
true.
had a similar experience to Steven. I saw this in the theater in 2019 and came away a little disappointed. It is very hard to disassociate this from Get Out, but I think it's completely unfair to put
Hmm.
those two in the same realm because
Yeah.
they're
Right.
completely different movies and they're doing two completely different things. It's like comparing Lord of the Rings and Chronicles of Narnia. They're both about fantasy. They're in that same genre, but the approach to story is completely different. Um, the three main things that really made me love this movie now from when I watched it was Jordan Peele, the director's eye for color and design. They're just he has such a skill for it. Like from the tuxedo shirt with the wolf mask on the kid
Hmm.
to the fried fish fast food they're eating to the beachside piers with the carnival games to the red jumpsuits and the golden scissors. Like everything just pops brilliantly and vibrantly in every frame of the movie. It's just so beautiful to look at. It's like a feast for the eyes. And especially when it clashes with the bloodshed and the grit later, it's just so beautiful. Like I could just watch this movie with no sound and still be impressed by it, just
Hmm.
because of visually it's amazing. I believe Johnny said that. My second thing is the characters. The family was very likable, unique, and like charismatic. Um, they each had moments in the movie to showcase their idiosyncrasies to make them feel more alive. Um, and they're tethered. The fact that they could act and create completely new characters as their tethered halves was super impressive. Like they were all very um, unique and individual, and it was it was really cool. And the last thing is the movie is really full. Like the first time I watched it, like you, Johnny, I was very confused, and I took it more at face value. And the movie is good where it kind of can be at face value. It's very easily accessible as like
Right.
this thriller, um, just spooky movie. But when you watch it a second time, you really pick up on all the symbolism and the motifs and the themes. Like everything, almost everything in the movie is on purpose, and it all has like a secondary meaning. And to me, it all points in the same direction of what the movie's about. And once you watch it again, you can kind of just like the tunnels underground, you can go as deep as you want. You can watch this again and just like pull out everything and just keep going down that rabbit hole and rabbit hole. Or you can just watch it and be thrilled, and that's really cool. Like I like engaging movies on that level where you can watch it again and find so many hidden meanings that the director put there on purpose. Do you know what I mean? So for those reasons, I'm going to say I liked it.
And I think also that's one thing that Jordan Peele loves doing. I know in Get Out there were a ton of like
Yeah.
symbols and little like Easter eggs.
So
So,
I'm gonna say that I lied when you asked
oh
if
my God.
there were flaws because I
Uh huh.
guess I'm not gonna name them, but I only realized because I think it's kind of funny how you and Steven both said that you walked away from because I also saw this movie when it came out in the theater and you guys walked away from it kind of like disappointed because you kept connecting it, wanting to connect it to Get Out. But like I
Hmm.
walked out of the theater the first time I saw this, like loving this. Like I was in love with this movie. I was ready to tout this as the greatest thing of all time. And seeing it this time, like now I'm just like I like it still,
Interesting.
but I walked away a bit more disappointed that it didn't match the hype of the first time I saw this as I watched it again because I watched it with Katrina. I was like, yeah, like it's gonna be good. And then I was watching it and like I mean like I watched it, but then like since I was watching it by my computer, like I had it, my eyes wandered at times where I'm like because like I did know where things were going, but I'm like I don't know if that's important. I don't kind of get. Oh, okay, now I can look. So like I guess like that to me like is like yeah, I do see flaws in this, but like yeah, I walked away. The point is I walked away from this a little more disappointed the second time instead of liking it more the second time.
But you still liked it.
Yes, I did.
So that brings me to my main point. I guess that brings us to our next conversation. Right now we have 5 stars, 5 likes. But you all said kind of that you had problems with it. You all had things that bothered you.
I want to.
Inconsistencies, plot holes. Oh, sorry, Stephen, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to. Johnny had a question for me that he wanted to ask.
What does the split represent? You were saying there's a split
Yeah,
in America,
yeah.
and I saw the hands. Like I get it, but I didn't really get what you thought it meant because it seemed like you were very confident in that.
I'm interested to know, Stephen, too, because I have an idea of what it means in my head.
It kind of hit
Yeah, me
me.
too.
It kind of hit me after I watched the film and kind of let it sit with me. But for me, the reason this is probably the primary reason the movie won me over is because that imagery, that entire setup hits so much harder coming out of all these events that we've been through in the past 2 years, in the sense that the splitting of the selves to me represents you can either view it as like as a socioeconomic thing or as a basic morality thing, and I choose to see it as a basic morality thing where Adelaide and her family represent this appearance of like the good neighbor, the loving family towards other people, but there is this dark repressed side that is just kind of itching to get out, when things are in the clear and you're not around people and it's isolated and you're sure that no one's going to overhear you, that, misbehaving, committing violence, yada, yada. And I just found there to be this really neat little parallel between that and like when people started to emerge out of the pandemic, right? Like I was just thinking about like people on Zoom, on FaceTime, like just portraying themselves as like this nice person, and then you've heard all of the news articles of like people behaving badly and like giving small business owners a tough time, and just like people were kept under lockdown for so long that when they're finally released into the world, they've just like kind of went crazy. And so what you have in this movie is like you have these tethered people that break out of their underground prison, wreak havoc. They go and commit their one act of violence against the person that they're their doppelganger, and then they join link hands across America. And I just thought that was like quite symbolic of like the times that we were living through from just like a purely moral behavioral standpoint. I was just kind of drawing these personal connections. There might be a stretch for you guys, but that's how I was kind of like struck by the message now versus back in 2019, where we didn't go through all of these things that we've gone through in the last 3 years since I saw the movie.
What about you, Noah?
I view it more as a socioeconomic
Yeah, me
theme,
too.
where it's more about the divide between those above and below in terms of income inequality. And the only outcome for that is self-destruction, because the people on the bottom get so, angry at what they don't have that they eventually go up and cause chaos.
Yeah, desperate even.
And
That's what
if you
happens
think
in the
about it,
time machine, right?
there's so many themes and symbols and motifs in this to point to that. The final battle of the movie between Adelaide and her doppelganger literally takes place in a classroom, class warfare.
Mm.
Like, and the fact that they're holding hands and they're wearing red. Just look up the definition of redlining. You know the definition of redlining?
Yeah, I know. It was this policy back in the day, just to keep it brief,
So for voting.
where banks would systematically reject loans towards people of color so that they wouldn't be able to purchase homes or.
Yeah, so they're literally creating a red line across America. Like, they're literally doing that. And if you look at anything else in this movie, it's just all kind of points to that type of theme. You can name anything, I think, and it still points to that theme. The escalator only goes down when she finds the escalator. It only goes down.
Yeah.
Kind of to say that they get trapped down there. They get trapped. When the father wins the prize at the carnival, he could only win the prize from the bottom. The guy says you have to pay more to be able to win the prize from the top. And so he has to take the bottom prize from his daughter. It's kind of just like all of those things. What I like about the movie is just being us versus them mentality of, the rich versus the poor, and kind of what we've seen before is that the movie kind of throws that whole paradigm for a twist when it reveals its twist,
Right.
when it reveals that kind of these differences of above versus below are all superficial. Like she basically was a below person that became an above person. So there's not really inherent like difference between us other than what is available to us, like what our upbringing and what resources we have. So,
arguably, she was the worst villain of all because she is the only one aware of both worlds.
yeah, I mean,
Right?
she is kind of a villain in the end. The fact that, remember what the doppelganger said? The doppelganger said, "I wish you took me. You could have taken me with you.
with you.
Like you could have taken me with you." And she chose to keep her down there because she was afraid that it would ruin her chances.
Yeah.
She was kicking someone down so she could,
Get
be
up.
up. So it was really interesting because we think she's the hero of the whole movie.
Did you guys see that ending coming?
Not at all.
No, not at all.
I felt like I felt the undertone of that the whole time.
Actually,
Really, you thought that? Oh, that's impressive.
I felt like as soon as they said there was a little girl that looked like her, I was like, they switched. Like it was like at the beginning, and I felt like that undertone. I was just trying to find it the whole time, and then by the end, you kind of forget a little bit because there's so much action.
Yeah.
But then, like, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, like I agree with you. No offense, Steven. Just I feel like that's where I saw the symbolism of the split. Like it felt very socioeconomic.
I wanted to throw that a bone because I think that's probably the dominant and the right theory. Like I just think that it makes much more sense. For me, I just think personally what I resonated with more was just like this idea of like human beings isolated in underground or in like homes for a very long time and finally emerging, and then there's just like bad behavior everywhere. And
It's interesting how a narrative can change.
I can relate to that because that's happened, in real life. So I was just that's my own. Yeah.
Well, also,
sorry, you go, David.
I was just gonna say, Hands Across America was a thing in the '80s to bring light to like underprivileged homeless people and minority groups and things like that. And they thought they were going to get this whole chain across the country.
It didn't happen, though?
No, it didn't.
Not even close.
I felt like in reflection, talking to you guys, the movie makes some sense, but like watching it felt very confusing.
Can I ask you guys?
I maybe need to watch it again, but I will say like the tracking what was going on was somewhat reasonable, and it's easier to do with the conclusion in mind now.
Mm-hmm.
But I still feel like, and I always do this, I'm sorry, but like it was a stretch for me, the underground people. Like I know it's a story. I'll give artistic leniency because I know it, but it's not a fantasy. And it sets a real world parameters on itself, and I struggle with it a little bit. Some of that stuff.
I don't know if it does.
Like the tethering, right? The tethering. She kept talking about tethering and like this control of the other person. Why is she not controlled now? Like why can one of them go up? Like, and how did the other one get? I understand, but they were being controlled. They were being activated by the other person. But then why did the one that was above ground suddenly get tethered?
Well,
and
because
that didn't make sense to me.
They did say that one line where there was one day that the tethered noticed that she was different, and then things started to change. So maybe they had always lived like that in direct mirror to their above ground counterpart.
There's just some logistical thing. Anyway,
you're right.
But
6 million people underground in a facility. Like it just logistically, like there's so many questions. Like I don't know.
Millions.
I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a little more organic, and I'm not trying to rewrite the movie. When I saw those people, what I thought was going to happen was like quite literally a civilization below ground, not a trapped creation of a failed experiment.
I understand your feeling, Johnny, because that's how I felt the first time I watched the movie. I wanted more of a straightforward approach, and You're completely fine. It's completely fine to not like that way of storytelling.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it's more of an allegory. It's more of the
Yeah.
Chronicles of Narnia versus the Lord of the Rings,
It
right?
just
Lord of the
takes-
Rings is straightforward.
It just takes
Chronicles
to
of
the
Narnia
end.
is literally an allegory
No,
for
I know,
Jesus Christ's
but
crucifixion and resurrection.
the
You
Narnia
gotta give it
series
some
is an
leeway.
allegory throughout, and you don't know this is an allegory till the end.
So
That's the hard part. Is like,
that's fair.
you know,
could I
That's
say
fair.
something though? Like I said, there are a couple flaws that still
Yeah, I want to know you guys' flaws
Still-
and things that bother
Alright.
you.
still kind of bug
I
me.
started. I was going in on it.
No, I think the one thing that I have to critique about Us is that it could work as an allegory if director Jordan Peele just kind of pulled back on the details and the explaining a little bit. So he could have played it on that level where he's like straight up allegory. It's going to be mysterious. You're not going to have all the details, and you're just going to have to deal with it. And there are directors who do that very, very well. I'm thinking about like David Lynch does it incredibly well. He's infamous in interviews where he's like, "Can you explain your movie?" He's like, "Nope," and it's like he's not going to tell you what it means, and he's content with not giving you the information that you need to kind of unlock it. But I felt as if he was trying to provide you information. He was trying to provide you the logic to help kind of build out this world, this underground world. And it just wasn't working on that level. And it just couldn't decide between whether it wanted to fully explain and justify the existence of the tethered and the underground and the US government being involved in this and them, acting like, their doppelganger selves up in,
The
real
tethered.
world. But that's the part that bothered me because it made the writing come off inconsistent and clunky.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with that, honestly. I do. I think you're referring to the two times that the mother's doppelganger says stuff, right?
Yeah.
The fairy
Yeah,
tale she
exactly.
tells in the living room, and then in the classroom she talks about the government, what they did in the failed experiment, then her doing the ballet, and then causing the revolution, right? Because to me, those are the only two times in the movie that it actually explains what's going on.
Yeah.
The whole rest of the movie, there's no other explanation.
Yeah.
Unless you can think of one that I
No. I agree with you. I think there was it was too much. I don't mind the monologues. It was just too much detail of how it works.
Right.
Where you start questioning, well, okay, you have 6
I
million
do
people
not disagree
underground
with that
without
whatsoever.
logistical food. Like you're starting being like, okay, that's a little far fetched and silly. Like it would have just been better unexplained and just been like, you were down there, like no context who put you there. You were just down there. Or something. I don't want to rewrite it.
Like a more like kind of science fiction, almost like
not even
supernatural. Like
just the point is that they are down there.
Yeah,
maybe they had that in an original
Yeah.
cut, and they thought it was just too far. But I do agree with Steven in that I think Jordan Peele maybe should have stuck to his guns and said, let the symbolism and stuff speak for itself.
I think that dovetails into one of the point though. Like I feel like limiting some of that and pulling out even some of the scene, like maybe even the scene work. Like you don't need to see that world as much. You could have shortened the movie, and I think the movie is too long. I personally thought
an hour and 40 minutes.
It was an hour and 45 minutes. It's a long movie.
That's normal.
That's normal. That's
too long.
No,
I will say
you could feel it.
I thought the movie should have been an hour and a half. Personally, that was a flaw for me. I thought it was too long.
No, I agree. You can definitely feel the runtime, and it gets a little rough at times. Like there's definitely just stall tactics, like stall scenes where you're like, okay, come on. I noticed that much more the second time around. I'm like, all right, come on, can we just? Okay, now they're going.
I will admit, Nick, that I do feel like the whole scene with the going to the rich house and battling the rich doppelgangers felt a little too
on the nose.
It just felt on the nose, but it also felt like it kind of messed with the pacing a bit.
Yeah,
it felt like why would they go there?
They didn't even.
Well, I think it was a really long delivery. That it was a systemic issue, not a personal tethering. Like it wasn't just them that had a tether; it was the world. But like they didn't need a 30-minute scene to do that. Like they could have had a shorter sequence to tell you that there was more tethers.
We don't want to rewrite it, but
I
do
would
agree
say-
No,
that
I know, but that was very long and drawn out. That sequence. I don't
Like
think you got much from it.
Then they
Like
tried to
I-
give them too much character. Almost, it seemed. Not
Well, yeah, like I was saying, it was like entertaining to watch, but there's like little nitpicks that you can pick away from it, and I think that happened the first time I saw the movie, and it stuck with me now. And I don't like. I did this when we watched what's in that Malignant with James Wan, and I wish I could have separated that as like a new work and not tied into everything he's ever did. And I think a lot of people, like we've been talking about, compared this to Get Out, and Get Out was so meticulously, the dots in that movie were so meticulously connected. Every action had a reaction, every symbol had a tie-in. There was like, you could almost find no like
Every boop bop
loopholes.
got a bee boop.
Right, every boop boop
Clink,
got a bop
clang.
bop.
So what does this
And
not have for you, David?
oh, it's just like little silly things like what we're talking about, like like the
Give me one main example of a tick that bothers you, gets under your skin.
okay, so the last flashback
Of her being
of
switched.
of her,
She was
of her getting
switching herself.
switched. She is handcuffed to the bed. How does she get out of the bed? We know in the future she has the key, but why would the doppelganger just leave the key there? Why? She would
It's
just
on
be
her neck.
No. But why? Why would you, if you were trapping somebody and stealing their life?
This is the example of they show
This
too
is
much detail. Like,
yeah,
you didn't
and,
need to
I'm
show
saying
her going down there.
it's still a fun movie, and it's still a really great surprise, and like a really nice like kind of left hook out of nowhere. But it's like, oh well, or how did they get all the costumes? I
See,
know they organize them, but I
that-
see, Steven. Like
No, David,
that's
I'm
the
agreeing
fun of
with you.
like
I'm
it's the
agreeing with
fun
you.
of the movie. I
Like-
get that it was like a thriller a thriller
David, yell at me.
reference. That's why they're wearing all one glove. It looked beautiful. It's just like little things like
Yeah.
I agree with you, David. I think the movie does itself a disservice because it allows you to ask those questions without keeping the mystery intact. And I think if it kept the mystery intact, you would have been more dazed and in a state of wonder and like as you came out of the film, if you watched in the movie theaters. But
I
think,
feel like I would have
yeah.
been less confused because they
Yeah.
didn't try to explain it. And when they tried to explain it, it felt unsatisfying. And
Yeah.
I think leaving like that story is terrifying and interesting. And I think part of leaving that mystery dangling and letting people just kind of like it's like a song's finishing without resolving. Like if they had kind of like left it for you to percolate and you let the symbolism permeate over a long time so you could figure it out with a second watch. But for me, logistics was the issue. Like I could too easily ask, like, okay, well, why were there rabbits? How did they cook? Like, and it's so stupid because that's not the point of the movie at all. I know that.
The movie,
I obviously know this, but I'm in the middle of the movie and getting distracted thinking about it because they're trying to explain a world that in real world terms that can't be, and it pulled me out of the mystery.
It didn't
and
annoy
that was the only flaw, and it sucks that we're only talking about this flaws because, like, actually, the movie is very good.
Well,
it didn't bother me on the watch through. It's just the after effect. You're thinking about the whole film. You're like, oh,
Exactly.
anyone
You're trying to
watching
piece
this-
it together. I have a question for everyone.
oh. Can I say my favorite shot before we move on?
Go ahead.
Like Noah, you talked about the visuals, and I do think.
Hold on, we'll get to
Oh,
a
okay.
good thing quickly afterwards. But I just wanted to say anyone watching the movie, if you haven't seen the movie, you have to go into that mindset of the movie's not concerned with how. If you ask how through the movie, you're not going to enjoy it. The movie wants you to ask why. Why is this happening? Not how is this happening. And you kind of have to go with that mindset. Otherwise, you're not.
Some of us love the question. How.
I know. It's like if you want to watch a movie, how you go watch Annihilation, right? That movie's going to explain every little freaking detail and like have a textbook for you to read. This movie is like an abstract painting almost. And I do agree that it kind of makes you want to ask how, like it puts things in there to make you want to ask how is this happening. But ultimately, you can't do that. Otherwise, it's
Right.
going to sour your watch.
Yeah, it ruins it for you.
This is one of the rare movies I feel like listening to this video before might actually make you enjoy it, because I don't think this movie gets spoiled by you knowing most of the movie. Actually, it might enhance it, like
No, I
because
did like this movie more of the time.
yeah,
than you
this
would
I
this
think.
watched
might be
it
one of those
closer
rare
this.
movies.
Yeah, I watched
Yeah,
it closer this time.
yeah.
It's a good segue. Let's move on quickly. I want to do a quick exercise of everyone. Let's go back to our favorite scene. Just like a quick little thing. You don't have to. We don't have
Hmm.
to go delve deep. I'll go first. 'Cause I don't want you guys to take mine. My favorite scene is the scene where she's at the carnival with her parents and she runs off, and just it's so beautiful to look at with the flashing carnival, everything's going on. Then she goes down to the beach. It's like she's ascending into darkness, and then she almost ends up into hell with the dream tunnel or whatever it's called, vision quest or whatever.
Oh yeah,
But I just love the way that scene is completely done. It was so spooky, and to me it displays all Jordan Peele's skills with directing, visually, the ability to cause fear just through atmosphere, and that's my favorite scene.
Well,
Anyone can jump in.
since you took one of the best ones, I'll pick something
I
else.
know.
But
That's why I took it.
I
took the
really,
other best one.
I really liked when they go. There's a family outside, and there's
Right.
this long
Oh, yeah.
stare down, and
yeah.
like I think that was one of the. So in that situation, like the lack of allegory, like they really played that up well. Like, what should I do? Go out? He's like taunting them. He's like, call the police. No, like that sequence and that
All right,
stare
now we should
down
call the
was
police.
awesome. And then suddenly, like the kids sprint off, and you're like, oh, this is getting real. Like that
Yeah.
felt like such a special moment in a movie. I really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
And then the stare
dad's
down.
interaction with them.
Yeah. And then the
So
stare
good.
down across the couch, like that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
agree.
that couch scene is done so perfectly because it doesn't show too much, but you get to it like lingers on the doppelganger family enough where you can just visual representation and like visual markers. You can see how different they are with like, and also like Red Lupita Nyong'o's like doppelgangers, like little descriptions of like Abraham and what was the daughter's name?
I don't remember.
Ombre.
Umbra.
Yeah, and just like how she's like looking like that, you're like, oh, it's so good. And the mask
She looked
they
the
put
most
that little,
creepy.
yeah, the mask they put that little boy in with the little match thing he does, and how she's like, how she like pets him when he like walks over like a dog. So it's such a good scene. But that scene when they're walking on the beach is just so beautiful. When it's the top down scene and their shadows, that's just shot. That's just so beautiful.
That leaves Steven and Nick.
You want to go, Nick?
Yeah. So it's hard to. It's hard to describe. I'm just gonna say I really enjoyed the ending scene, strictly mostly due to the fact that it was an orchestral version of "I've Got Five" on it. Like but it was also hauntingly
Music in this.
beautiful because if you
Yeah.
watch that scene of them fighting, and to anything else, it really wouldn't have worked because it was like I was kind of laughing just because like nobody's just like wow, like I was like this is really kind of corny now, but like the music just made it really haunting and like it made it a better scene to watch. Like it really helped improve the scene and it just sounded so good. It sounded so nice. I loved it.
The remix of that song is amazing, and I love how it's like used throughout the movie. You're right, Nick. Such a
I love the music in this. All right, Steven.
My favorite shot is the shot of the rich white family standing around in the house with the glass wall, and you see
when they got
all
off.
of them swooping at the same time. I thought that was a fun little shot. I like that. Yeah.
I do encourage you, Jonny, to. I think we've all seen it the second time, right? I think only Nick has gotten. It got worse with his watch.
No, I would. This is a movie I would watch again because I can tell that it's a steeping movie. Like it needs to steep.
Yeah, and the sheer number of foreshadows in this movie is outstanding. Like, is just is
Yeah.
amazing, and I think you'd appreciate that the second time you watch it. Just because remember
Well,
the car. What is the car that the kid puts in the doorway to prop
Ambulance.
the door
It's
open?
ambulance.
And what do they escape in at the end of the movie?
Ambulance.
Exactly. Like there's just so many
Yeah,
things like
so
that.
many layers
Callbacks.
of it.
It's
Yeah,
just
I
you
mean,
can really
even
watch this movie again and just go,
even the
wow.
fact that Noah that Red is the only one who speaks, and the little girl when she gets out can't speak. Like
Yeah.
you can piece this together if you're really paying attention.
Yeah, like he put a lot of thought into everything.
But he scares you to take you to throw you off your balance, which is
Yeah.
I love that,
Yeah.
Like he
And the reason, sorry,
yeah.
Stephen.
No, I'm good. Yeah.
I was gonna say the reason why she sounds the way she did is because she strangles her in the
She windpipe
in
crushed.
the
Yeah,
Vision
yeah.
Quest and breaks her windpipe. So it's just all these little hints and callbacks. It's just so good.
Vision.
So at this point, does anyone have anything else to say, Nick?
Yeah,
You've been kind of quiet.
Is
That
there?
little girl, by the way, wow, that little girl actress. Whew.
Oh, they're all
Like
good.
the young version of her, like that was frightening. She did that really well.
They were all like,
The moment
The
she gives
smile.
that creepy smile, yeah, that
Oh my
smile, you're just
goodness.
like, oh, that was well done.
her eyes were so large.
I also want to say the daughter in the present day did a great job being the killer, like being the murderer version of herself. Like she did
Right.
fantastic. Like the way like she would like stalk her like through the car. And then jumping up on the roof of the car, fantastic.
Before we finish, I'd like to ask another quick question. Has everyone seen Get Out?
Yes.
I
Everyone seen Get Out?
I've seen it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
where does this rank for you before we see Nope?
Ooh, you can rank the.
I can't rank them yet, Noah. I forget.
I know. I'm saying
Get Out was too far
don't
away
count
from me.
Don't
I
count
haven't
Nope.
I haven't seen it in so long. I can
Well,
barely remember.
Then excuse yourself from the voting process, John.
I will.
So
You are a
what do you
non-voter.
mean? Like, how do
I'm
you want
excused.
us to go about it? I'm curious.
What right now is first spot and second spot for you in terms of Jordan Peele movies?
Oh, okay.
I'm curious.
Oh, I can do that.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Get Out is still top.
Yeah, Get
Okay.
Out still holds the top spot.
This is great, though. I mean, it doesn't.
It's just
Get
that
Out was.
Get Out was so strong.
I'm just
It
interested.
was so like, and not to say this movie's not well done, but I don't know. It's hard to explain that Get Out commanded my attention. It was interesting, but it didn't command my attention in the same manner. It didn't take
Okay.
it. I felt like I wasn't taken on the same manner of ride, if that makes sense. Like, the illusion.
It's a different ride, Nick. It's a different ride.
The
Maybe you don't
illusion.
like this ride.
The illusion never broke for me in Get Out. Like I went through that whole movie just sucked in. Like I was set in, nothing broke it. Like I couldn't be distracted by anything.
Gotcha.
The first time, I want to say that was how it was. It's hard to remember, but this time for sure, I was definitely more distracted, and just like it didn't suck me in. It didn't keep me the entire movie.
Interesting. Steven.
I have to rank Get Out over
Okay.
Us. Yeah, I just think that, and the reason why I give it the edge is because it entered the zeitgeist in a way that Us didn't. I think Get Out was like like a seminal viewing moment. Like it was like everyone was watching this movie in theaters and everyone was talking about it.
Like
I even remember the Get Out challenge. If you remember that was like a social media.
The people running at the camera and then turning away at the very last second.
Yeah. I just thought, it's just like it entered the zeitgeist.
I'm gonna have you film yourself doing that, Steven.
I'll try. Yeah, I'll probably crash into the camera. But yeah, I just think that Get Out. I don't know how long Jordan Peele was working on Us, but you can tell. I think Director Peele said he worked on Get Out for several years, and I think you can tell.
You need to call every director their formal name from now on. This is unfair to the other directors. Director Jordan Peele here.
Yeah. No, not even Director Jordan Peele. Director Peele.
He
sounds like a Star Wars commander.
What do I say?
Just say it.
Yeah, no, I agree with everybody, but to me personally, I mean, and I've only seen Get Out once, so maybe I need to watch it again. But to me, today, I like Us more than Get Out.
Wow.
Okay.
And I think
I
I just
am.
like the visuals of it. I thought the creativity of it, like the character designs, everything's really cool.
Your homework is to watch Get Out
Yeah,
before
I was just gonna
before
say
Nope.
I'm gonna try to watch Get Out this week.
I am going to pick the controversial choice as well. I'm gonna say I like Us a little bit more than Get Out, just because I think it was more um, original and it made bolder choices. I think it shot for the stars a bit more. Not to say that Get Out is not a masterpiece. I believe it's a masterpiece, but I also think this was a little more risk taking. Do you
It's
know
a
what I
little bit
mean?
more explorative.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think you
It was
gotta.
more
Yeah,
experimental, as I think Johnny said,
Yeah.
maybe.
you
I
gotta
get
give it.
that.
And I
You gotta
respect
take,
that. I
yeah.
respect that.
That's what makes it good. That I will say that's what makes it good is that it is high quality and experimental, which is a rare combination.
Question: is anyone changing their like, or is this getting a perfect rating?
Is this our first 5 out of 5?
Does a perfect rating
It's the
feel
second
fair?
time we've done this.
Does
We have a
perfect
2
rating
2
feel
out of
fair?
5 and a 5 out
I'm
of
not
5.
I'm not changing mine, but I would qualify my recommendations. I feel like
Oh yeah, I'm
Okay,
not
but I'm
changing
still
mine either.
counting it.
No
It's
last
hard.
minute
Yeah, I'm not changing my opinion, but
switch ups.
yeah.
Does
I'm
does a 5 feel fair?
I think so.
no. I feel like a
Yeah, it
4 would
doesn't.
be
It really
fair.
doesn't though. I don't think this is a perfect 5
It's
for
yeah.
me.
not.
It doesn't feel
But if
fair.
you think about it, all 5 of us liked it though. So where is the
But it
qualification there? You know,
We
where is
we
what is
all we
the
all liked it 80%, and so
This is the inherent
uh,
flaw.
but I mean, is this
Yeah, but you would.
is
That's
this
not
the
the point.
top?
You're
And
if
then
you're if you're gonna
isn't
recommend a movie, you don't go, I recommend 80% of this movie. You go yes or no. And for someone seeing it, they're gonna say 5 people liked it, so
So
I'm gonna go
I
see
think
it.
that I think the score is a little bit misleading in the sense like a Rotten Tomato score is misleading, right? Because it's essentially like you're a Roman emperor. You're either a thumbs up or you're a thumbs down, and then they count the number of thumbs up versus the number of thumbs down, and then you get your percentage. Um, I think we're thinking solely in terms of recommendations, I think we all would be happy kind of recommending this film. I don't know,
Yeah, no,
but
absolutely. I would absolutely recommend this movie
So
to
why
somebody
doesn't that make it a 5-star movie?
because
Is like the question.
because
because not
I think that rating system is inherently flawed.
yeah, because I feel like not
So
every
is the
movie
10 out of 10 because
every rating
it's
system is
meaningless.
flawed. They're all
there
based on opinion.
there are
Objective.
movies that I
Yeah,
like
you're right.
that
They're
I
all
You're right,
don't.
David.
Not every movie I watch is a masterpiece. Like not every movie is The Gangs of New York or A Beautiful Mind. Like
Oh,
some
I
movies
didn't
are.
know you like those two
I know,
films.
yeah, jeez, where
It's
did
a
it come from?
masterpiece.
Some heavy
Is it a
hitters.
masterpiece if everyone
Gangs
in
of
the
New
room
York or
liked it?
Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
That's what
Pretty
I
sure Martin
think
Scorsese kissed
I
his
think
cat.
we
Hold
put
on.
these
No,
weird
it's
qualifications on movies.
Yeah,
You know,
Noah just
like
wants us to get a 5 out of 5, guys. Give it to him.
yeah, we'll give it to you.
I'm not changing my score. You're not changing your score. You're the ones giving it
Yeah, I
5 out
mean,
of
I
5.
don't disagree that in the terms of like, yeah, I won't change my score, but 5 out of 5, saying it's perfect, no questions asked, just feels morally bankrupt.
The only thing I would say though, like I would still keep my like. I would just say that this movie is heady. It's a little heady, and people, like there's some movies that aren't heady that are alike.
But
This movie
the
is heady.
heady was not enough for you to dislike it, Johnny.
No, it's just a like needs a one extra descriptor from me typically, and I would just say it's heady. So if you're gonna watch the movie, come with a ready to think and engage. Don't come to this is not an entertainment movie, and I usually say movies,
It's very entertaining.
no, but it's not an entertainment movie. It's not a movie
Like it's
created
not
to entertain.
mindless.
It's a movie created for the purpose. And it's not just here to create a big budget and collect a bunch of money and have some branding deals, right? It's made with a purpose and a quality of art that's rare and it's beautiful and it's worth seeing, but it's not. It doesn't fit into the film industry as a
And
regular franchise movie.
maybe it should be rewarded for that for 5 stars. I think we look at movies wrong these days.
Yeah.
You know,
That's fair.
That's all I was saying. I wasn't saying take the score away. I just want to add like a descriptor to it for me.
I
All
think
right.
this in the realm of horror, in the realm of movies, this movie is made so well that you
It's
should
art
watch
house.
it.
It's art house,
But
right?
not even art house. If you like movies, if you like watching movies, see this so
Yeah.
you can understand the timeline of things that
All right,
Yep.
I gotta cut this off. It's getting too long.
Yeah, David's ranting.
So
David's like, it's not just me, guys.
the
It's
final
Steven.
score of us, since none of us changed our minds or swayed each other's opinions, is a 5 out of 5. The first
We all
perfect.
hold our hand up to the camera.
5 out of 5. The first perfect that
This is the
movie
weakest
screen
one,
given
Steven.
Man,
on our new.
I hope this wasn't like The Signs and Sixth Sense, and then like Nope is the Lady of the Water.
Yeah, we wonder what.
Yeah.
Lady of the Water is awesome.
I like
Yeah,
Lady of the
don't
Water, but I'm
disrespect
okay.
Lady of the
All right,
Water.
so
No,
It's definitely-
David, no, someone cut David off.
Stop,
right
David.
now.
No,
Split.
no, David.
right.
We're not
Oh,
going to.
are we still
We
recording?
gotta
We're
go.
not going to
Yes.
70
We gotta go.
minutes.
Oh, sorry.
All right.
I thought no, it ended
Thanks
already.
for listening to us talk about us. We are going to review Nope next, and we're going to rank it. We're going to see where it falls again in our Jordan Peele. He's a
And-
wonderful, amazing director.
For
What's his name, Steven?
director.
Director.
Jordan
Peele. Come on,
But-
guys.
and-
Give some respect.
And 4 out of 5 of us are going to see it together, which is a first.
That is true.
Oh.
Since there's a director,
Maybe
Peele, does
we'll-
that mean there's a commander?
Maybe we'll
Peele?
add a little clip of us right after we see it talking.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
That
Just have a bunch of pictures.
Steven, you
with
have to go
Steven
see it
photoshopped in.
Wait, what time is your movie show?
so we can
It's 8
FaceTime you.
Yeah.
I think it's like 9:15 on Friday.
Okay, I'll try to grab.
Anyway, I'm going to cut this off so
You can get like the
Totally doesn't
bootleg
funny.
experience.
Thanks for listening. Again, like and subscribe to the Spooky Screen. Peace out.